We've all been there, right? You ask this fantastic question, you're expecting this amazing, lively classroom discussion, and you get crickets. Or you get the same two students raising their hands. Well, today, we're going to talk about a way to fix that. We're going to look at how you can become really an architect of thought in your classroom, designing discussions that actually build real shared understanding. So this is the big question, isn't it? How do we take that chaotic, unpredictable classroom talk and turn it into something focused, something really productive? We all know what it's like when a good idea just fizzles out into silence or gets hijacked by a few voices. The goal is to change that. So how do we actually get there? Let's dive in. You know, a classroom discussion can really go one of two ways. Over on the left, you've got that unstructured talk. It's kind of messy, it gets off topic, and before you know it, you, the teacher, are doing all the talking again. But the path on the right, that's our goal. That's a structured discussion, where you're modeling thinking, you're staying on track, and way more students are getting involved. So, making that jump from unstructured to structured really starts with one single core shift in your mindset. It's all about changing your role, from being the controller of the conversation to being the guide for the thinking. This right here, this one sentence, pretty much sums up the entire philosophy. See, the point isn't to wrestle the conversation towards some answer you already have in your head. No, the goal is to guide the process of thinking itself so your students can build that understanding for themselves. So let's get really clear on what we mean by a teacher-led discussion. It's a structured conversation, one where the teacher is actively guiding and framing what's being said to model critical thinking and keep everybody focused. And that word guide is everything. This is not about dominating.
Okay, so we've got the mindset. Now it's time for the playbook. How do we actually put this into practice? This next part is all about the specific roles for both you and your students.
You have to see this as a partnership in thinking. Just look at how the teacher's role and the student's role are totally connected. One makes the other possible. Honestly, it's kind of like a dance. For it to work, both partners need to know the steps.
Let's start with the 4 key actions for the teacher. First, you have to ask purposeful questions. Second, you have to provide thinking time. You know, that silence, that's not dead air. That is the sound of learning. Third, you select students strategically, not just the ones with their hands up. And fourth, you connect their responses, weaving all those individual comments into a bigger picture. Now, for this whole partnership to work, students have 3 main responsibilities. Number 1, think before they respond. Number 2, actively listen to their classmates. And number 3, build on each other's ideas. It's got to be a team effort.
All right, we have the mindset, we have the playbook, so now let's actually take this into the classroom. What does success really look like? And, just as important, what are the common traps we need to avoid?
This is what we're aiming for. You'll know a discussion is really working when you see lots of different students contributing. You'll hear yourself linking their ideas together, saying things like, "That's interesting. How does that connect to what Sarah said?" And the big one, the conversation stays completely laser-focused on the learning goal. But, of course, getting to that ideal place means you have to know what can trip you up along the way. So let's talk about the common traps that can pull a really well-intentioned discussion right back into that messy, unproductive territory. So you've got to watch out for these 3 common mistakes. First, don't just rely on the volunteers. That actually silences a lot of other voices. Second, please don't answer your own questions. You have to embrace that thinking time. And third, try not to move on too quickly. When a student gives a response, poke at it a little. Connect it to the bigger conversation before you move on.
Okay, so let's end with the single most important idea to anchor your practice. This is the one thought you want to hold on to when you're planning your next big classroom discussion.
It all comes down to this. An effective discussion happens when you guide the thinking without doing the thinking for the students. Your role is to build the scaffolding, to connect the dots, all while empowering your students to do the real intellectual heavy lifting. Guide their thinking, but in the end, let them be the ones who think. That right there is the art of a powerful teacher-led discussion.